Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome to my podcast. My name is Roosevelt Mitchell III, and I am the host. And this is another episode of the Mitchell File, where I discuss politics, education, and anything currently in the news. So, just a platform, an alternative platform to discuss various topics with what I believe is great commentary. But I want to speak about this article that I just read about Steve Harvey. Yes, the Family Feud Steve Harvey. The Steve Harvey that wrote the book, what was it? Think Like a Man, Act Like a Lady, with the movie and the sequels and all these other things, and also with all of the bashing he received for meeting with President Donald Trump, and then doubling down on that after being asked the question what he thought about Donald Trump currently being President Donald Trump currently being his role or job currently being in the White House, and Steve Harvey just stated he's keeping his word to me. So he's received a bunch of backlash lately, and also fast forward just a couple of weeks ago he received a bunch of backlash from the note that was found about that he wrote his staff. He wrote apparently he wrote his staff a note stating, "Do not come up and talk to me unless I summoned you," or "Don't speak to me unless I speak to you." You know, it was like he wanted them not to approach him while he was at work, right? Which came across as kind of being a butthole, I think, but yet and still, how he explained it was he said he was tired of being a prisoner, on his own job, because I can only imagine how many people see him and his, because we all know about his success in his rise, right? So I can only imagine how many people see him and approach him in the aspect of just wanting to speak with him, just wanting 5 minutes of his time. I'm nowhere near on Steve Harvey's level, or I'm not even famous at all, right? But so many people send me messages and reach out and ask questions about education and what I think about X, Y, and Z. So I can only imagine at that level, when he reached millions on a daily basis, how many people just want to hold a conversation, not even asking for anything, not even asking for a favor or a job or anything, just want to speak with him and hear his point of view on things. And then you do have some who may want to say, "Hey, can you hook me up over here?" Or "What is your advice about this?" Or "Can you pass this on?" Right? So I can only imagine just wanting to go to work, but you have to deal with all of that. Right? Just imagine how many of you go to work and probably pull up on a lot, playing your music, just trying to get in the zone, in a zone or in a vibe to go to work, and you really don't even feel like speaking to nobody. I've had many days to where I did not want to speak to anybody at work. Many days that I was a contractor cutting grass, or days that I actually worked out in a potato field, and I would, just didn't want to speak to anybody. Just wanted to go do my job and go home, because I did not even love that job. So I just wanted to survive through the day. So I can only imagine just going to work and you being bombarded with all these people. So the note came across as kind of, again, him being a butthole, but how he broke it down and explained it, he said that he just was tired of being a prisoner at his own job. So still, and yet, he received a lot of backlash for that. So he's been receiving a lot of backlash, but he has also received a lot of blessings as he's continue to do all the things that he's doing to be effective, right? So I read this article about his ex-wife, and how she is suing him for $60 million. She's suing him for $60 million. And his ex-wife, if you all don't know, currently Steve Harvey is on his third marriage. He's on his third marriage. He had a marriage, I believe, that lasted 14 years. And then after that, he got married to this other lady called named Mary Vaughn, who the marriage lasted from 1996 to 2005. And then 2 years after that is when he married his third wife and current wife. And so his second wife, the one that he divorced in 2005, which is what, 12 years ago? Now she is suing for $60 million, saying Steve Harvey murdered her soul. Well, actually, she alleges that she suffered prolonged torture with the infliction of severe mental pain and suffering. So she wants $60 million. And court documents obtained by Entertainment Tonight claim that Vaughn attempted suicide by self-medicating in an effort to stop the pain, and alleged that Harvey and his attorney reportedly caused severe emotional distress over the years. All I can say is wow. Right? Wow. You've been married, you've been divorced for like 12 years, and now all of a sudden you want $60 million? Like $60 million? Like, really? You know, and here's my issue about it. And I'm not the one to say that he caused infliction or he did not do it, because I am not inside that situation, so I don't know that. But on the outside looking in, or looking at the facts, or even being a person who has been divorced before, you know, like 12 years? You wait 12 years, and we know that Harvey's at the height of his success, and then you come out and you want $60 million? And the crazy part is that the lawsuit was not even filed by an attorney. It was not even filed by an attorney. You know, now Steve Harvey's lawyer, responded to the lawsuit, but the suit was filed on Wednesday by civil rights activist Essie Berry. She is acting as Vaughn's power of attorney. So it wasn't even filed by a lawyer. It was filed by a civil rights person. Like 12 years later. So, I mean, I think that systematically, there's a huge, what word do I want to use? Huge discrepancy in how it's handled, right? I can claim or try to sue anybody for anything, even though that they have done nothing. Right, and I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem, because when you at that height and your name is everywhere and it's a big deal, you are a big deal. I mean, that's basically slander if it's not true. That's slander if it's not true. But on the other end of that, say they go to court and it's determined the case is meritless, right? It's over and it's done. It's you know, you have no grounds to stand on. Steve Harvey would not be able to sue her for slander, and win anything. Right? So it's almost like a lose-lose for him. It's lose-lose because it's bad press, bad publicity, you know, allegations. You got to go to court. You got to pay your lawyer. And then you go, and then, you know, if it ends up like that, yeah, so I think that's the law system is you know, maybe need to be tweaked. I'm not a lawyer, but just seeing enough of these situations, like 12 years later, she can just come out and say, I want $60 million, or a bunch of people, and this is documented, a bunch of people sue or try to attempt to sue other people, you know, just on a meritless case, but just hoping that they settle. Now, I'm not claiming that she's doing this, but I'm just saying that happens all the time too, especially when people have a lot of money. They tend to have a lot of money. So, I really think this is like not being particularly pointing fingers at Steve Harvey and his ex-wife, but just stating that I think this is like more of a systematic issue. It's more of a systematic issue. You know, 12 years and you don't even file it with an attorney. You go to a civil rights person and then you're asking for $60 million when she was previously arrested some years ago for in contempt of court for violating the conditions of the gag order from the divorce. Right, so they had a gag order and she violated that and she was sent to jail for that 4 years ago. Now, 4 years later, you know, he tortured your soul. I'm like, gee. So again, I hate to go on and on just about celebrity stuff, but again, I think this is bigger than just Steve Harvey and his ex-wife. I think there's like a systematic issue. Anybody can just sue anybody. Then if you don't show up for court, then you can be held in contempt of court. Or if you not served papers, and then it's a lengthy process. I interviewed the actual writers of the song "A Thin Line Between Love and Hate," right? The actual writers, and they were suing Martin Lawrence still from the movie Thin Line Between Love and Hate. And Thin Line Between Love and Hate, I believe, came out in 96, 97. This is 20 years later, and they are still trying to sue him and get money from the movie because they stated that, how did it go? They stated that they tried to pay them just $50,000 for, using the title, using the song, and the name and all that. But they made all of this money off the movie, right? But it's just an extensive process, and they, stating that they couldn't catch up with him, and several others who use their samples. So it's just the legal system in that sense, in suing people, I really believe needs to be tweaked because it's not geared towards being very, very productive. Because after they told me their story, I felt so bad for them because they not only were suing or trying to sue him, they were suing. They had sued 50 Cent for using the sample. They sued Kanye West a couple of times, and the Kanye West, when they were trying to serve him papers, that was actually on Entertainment Tonight. Where the guy was trying to serve him papers, and Kanye grabbed the papers and threw it back out the car. Yeah, so again, in that case, I think that they should at least been able to go to court and plead their case, but due to these entertainers being sued so many times and know the system and know not to be served and all that stuff, these older people are, really running around just, trying to get some answers. So again, that's enough about that. But I just wanted to speak on him being sued or attempted to be sued, or is being sued, for $60 million from his ex-wife from 12 years ago, which is crazy. But again, please leave a comment in the section below. Please follow me on Facebook, Roosevelt Mitchell III. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And until next time, my friends, be blessed. And